Good evening and welcome back to Wednesday and Open Studio. How's everyone doing? How's your Wednesday treating you as I smash my head up against the camera? All right. Yeah, we're rolling on. We're rolling on. Before I move on, I'm going to move on to this little section right here. I'm just going to airbrush the parts we did last week just to kind of finish them up. And if you've been hanging out with us, you'll know that this is a pretty common thing. What is not common is in this episode I get to use this little Infinity CR Plus, which is a blast. So this came from Spray Gunner as a thank you for a project that I did with them. And I'm having a blast with this brush. It's really high detail. You know, it's a different feel because it's German built instead of Japanese built. The Japanese seem to do things very similar to, to their manufacturing process. So to get a little bit of German engineering, it's just as delicate, just as intricate, but it's different, so it's taken a little bit of getting used to. There's different adjustments on it. It's manufactured to the end, it is beautiful. It's first airbrush with a titanium nozzle, which is interesting. So you'll see I showed you the picture, but this is the business end of this guy, which is kind of fun. And yeah, it is all that. So what I found is, as I blow this thing around, is that the first thing I noticed was that this guy likes lower pressure. Where the Iwatas that I use, I can crank those up and use them at a higher pressure, which is the way I've always worked. This guy specifically likes lower pressure. So what I ended up doing is just I have the little Grex Quick Connect airflow adjuster. And I can use that to just quickly change the airflow at the airbrush, which is nice. I don't have to go back to the compressor and change it. Even though I do have a regulator up near me as well. So I have a regulator on the compressor, but I also have a regulator here on the bench, and then I also have this little air adjuster here right at the airbrush. So between those three, I can really, really control how things work, and that's fun. Again, this is not super crazy what I'm doing here, so I don't really have to mask anything off. Slide that over a little bit. There we go. So I don't have to really mask anything off. I just got to kind of be careful as I put in this little bit of airbrushing at the bottom of these little buildings just to kind of ground them a little bit. It's a really neat effect. It has to be subtle. I definitely push it more than what's in the reference photo. But again, that's what gives it'll give this little tiny landscape a lot of three-dimensionality in real life when you look at it. Probably went a little bit overboard on this white building. Talk about being subtle. That's probably too much right there. By the way, that's my pinky finger, if you're wondering. So it gives you the scale of this guy. It's crazy. The pink building. Pink building needs a little bit of it. The pink building, I am going to use a little bit of a mask there because I really want to keep that really bright white roof next to the pink building. So I'm just I need a straight edge. What do I got here? I'm moving these things around so they get bumped a lot. See me reaching. The little template holder is right above here, but all the templates are not on the rack. They're all over the place, which is not a good look. But this isn't straight. This is the big shield, but it'll work for what we're doing. All I want to do is kind of block off that little white building. Okay, it's my first smash the airbrush on the workstation move. Okay, so now with that little white roof bit built blocked off, I can just kind of give that pink building a tiny little bit of a hit. Oh, needle actually held up pretty well considering I just dive bombed it into the Visionaire, which is not ideal. Okay. All right, good. That's great. That gets us. That little section is now done and in the bank. Again, I talk about this a lot. I try to really finish a small section before I move on, because if I leave something, say I want to like do like a whole bunch of airbrushing all at the same time, and I leave that shading until the end, sometimes I'll be so far across the painting that I'll do the airbrushing on one part and I'll totally forget that I left it behind on the other one, and it'll pop up. So in this instance, since it's so complex and so crazy, I try to like kind of, get it all done when I'm working on it. All right, I think that's good. We can move on to this little block right here. All right. Soapboxes. That community post is still up, so feel free to drop your soapbox ideas there. Even if it's something that I don't have very much knowledge on, I will still throw my 2 cents in. What the heck? What could go wrong? But hopefully, it's something that I've had experience in, so that I can give you my take on it, and it'll be fairly accurate. I'll definitely try. I won't. If it's something totally out of my wheelhouse, I will let you know. Because we don't want to go nuts. All right. The building that's missing here is between these guys right here is kind of a bright white. So we're gonna airbrush that. I could paintbrush it in because I got windows on it, but I say. See if I can find a good working copy here that'll get the job done. This one probably will. No. This one will. I know this one will. Okay. Again, what I'm looking for is this template right here has a bunch of stuff cut out that we used before, like the green and a little bit of white there, but the buildings we're looking for are way over here that are not cut out yet. So that's going to work out just swimmingly. All right, so today's soapbox, it comes from Brian Moore. Brian asked about style. We were talking about style on one of the other videos, and Brian's question was, how do you change style? Well, I think the easy answer to that is, and this goes back to what we were talking about before. I'm just going to cut out this building right here and spray it in. So nothing new. There's nothing new to see here. So the whole idea, especially as a kind of emerging artist, you're always looking for your style. And I told a story about, how I was like searching for it, and it emerged by itself. And that's a tough thing to hear, but it is really the way that it happens. So the thing of it is if what you're doing isn't necessarily, what you want to do, or if you just want to change it up and, you want to try different things, do it. I mean, that's really the thing. The thing that people get hung up on with style is, I think, we think of an artist, like a famous artist. And that famous artist is usually famous for one style of art. They hit it big on something, and that's what they're known for. And that's great and everything, but that's usually not the reality of the way things work. Usually artists try a bunch of different things before they lock in on something they really, really love. And like we said before, hopefully what you find your style is an extension of what you really love as far as making art. So that's the real goal, So bouncing around and changing, I mean, you'll hear this a lot, especially with like a portfolio review where you bring your work in front of someone to kind of go over. A lot of times they're looking for a cohesiveness in that, in your style of the way you work. They don't necessarily want you to have, if you're doing fine art, an oil painting, a watercolor, pastel, a drawing. Yeah, it shows that you're well-versed and well-rounded, but it also shows that you really kind of are all over the map. Again, as an artist, you can be that way. That's fine. It doesn't matter what you do and what people think of what you do. You can do whatever you need to do. There are multidisciplinary artists that are quite famous and, and accomplished. Accomplished first, famous second. But yeah, again, the thing is people tend to think, Vermeer was an oil painter and he painted in this style, and that's it. Or, Warhol had his very specific style and the way that he worked with screen printing and overlaying and that kind of thing. And that's great from a strictly marketing view, but from an artistic view, you got to listen to what's important to you. You may be interdisciplinary. You may just get a charge out of doing all different kinds of things. Sculpture, three-dimensional artists are my example for that. You look at a three-dimensional artist, not necessarily like a sculptor where they're working in clay or just one specific medium, or ceramicist or something like that. I'm talking about the people that will make a sculpture from a bunch of different elements. They need to do everything. They need to paint, they need to fabricate, they need to be a sculptor, they need to work with clay, with armature, all of that. So they're very multidimensional as far as what they do. Now, at the end, they're still considered a three-dimensional artist or sculptor, but a lot goes into that, you know what I mean? So it's not necessarily that you have to really lock into something and then that's it. That is really a marketing thing more than a reality thing. Now, again, ultimately, at the end of your art career, what people look at my stuff, I'm the guy who does small stuff. You know what I mean? And even though I can do all kinds of different things, and I love doing all kinds of different things, the people know me because I do the small stuff, because that's what had the most reach. And that's the way it is. So don't feel like you have to lock yourself in. The world will lock you in by itself. You're going to spend the rest of your career fighting that. But yeah, that's what I have to say about that. So it's pretty quick and dirty. All I got to say is don't stress too much about it, just like, style in general. What do I want to use for this? White. I want to use Eclipse. Yeah, don't stress too much about it, because it'll pretty much take care of itself. Those tracks with music as well. You think about bands and you think about how they have an amazing amount of success, bands that are really popular and successful. But the moment they deviate from what they did to become successful, rarely do they have hits. Rarely do they keep that enthusiasm going for what they're doing. And it's just people like what they know from them, and then when they move away from that, the people move on to something else as well. So yeah, again, don't put too much stress on it. So now I have opaque white. I've got that building blocked off, and there's a little nick in that. You guys can see it really well because you're so close. We're getting close to where I scratched the painting, and I think that little guy is a little bit more of that. So fortunately, there's windows all over this and everything, but I really want to kind of keep an eye on that scratch, that nick, because I don't want it to have too much dimension. I don't want it to become a distraction. So what I'm doing is I'm spraying really light layers, letting them dry, and then looking at that little scratch at an angle to make sure that it's not very deep. If it is, I got to do a little bit of body work on this panel, which means I just got to fill that little scratch in before I continue to paint. This looks really good though. I'm not going to need to do that. That is most lovely. I'm going to leave the white in the... All right, I got this. I'm going to leave the white in the brush just in case I need it again. And that's a little bit wonky. I think I had that skewed a little bit, which is not terrible. Also, that is that I'm going to show you what I'm kind of confused about. First of all, again, you're looking at it at a real extreme angle, so that wonkiness may not be as noticeable to you guys, but maybe it is. So it kind of is pushed over too far at the top and too far to the right at the bottom. So if this is the building, it's kind of like this to me, but not, that severe. So I'm going to have to fix that. That's no problem. But what's really weird about this is I have this building, and you can see it in the reference, and I have the face of this white building, but then you can see the side of this white building. But I think I just cut out the face, but it goes right up against this building. There's no side. I have to figure out what's going on there. It may just be a strip. I got to look at a new copy, because with this copy now that I just sprayed, you can't see the info anymore. See, I just covered it all up with the white paint. So I'm going to have to grab another copy to take a look at that and see what's going on there. I have a feeling, well, I already know how I'm going to fix it if... No, it's pretty much there. That's interesting. I'll show you in a second. I just got to cut a new copy out, because I need a fresh one just so you guys can see it. All right, so while I'm doing this, yeah, so that's my take on switching styles. In the beginning of your career, if you're a young artist, try a bunch of stuff, switch your styles up all the time. Again, what you're looking for is not what's going to make you famous, what's not going to, sell art for you. Don't do that. What you want to find is that passion, and then find your collectors. That's the order you want to do things. Because if you find your collectors first and they expect something of you, you're going to be locked into that forever. And then this artwork becomes a job for you. And, maybe that's what you want, but it's not a great life. You would much rather be doing something you're super passionate about and have that take off, and now you're super passionate about it and everyone else is super passionate about it and everyone's in a good mood and everyone's happy. You know what I mean? Okay, let's take a look at this. And we're going to drop this in right over the image because we want to see where this got screwed up. So what I do is I kind of line it up, and I can see it right now. So I'm in good shape. I cut out the whole building for some reason. So if I flip this away real quick, it's really tough for you guys to see it because you're at an angle. But what I did was I cut out the whole building, which is fortunate because it's easy fix. We love easy fixes. What happened there with the wet palette? You guys see that? I put too much water in this thing, and water flooded out onto the surface, which fortunately a lot of that black paint is dried because the palette had a chance to dry out. But if you have one of these wet palettes and this happens to you, what you do is you grab a real clean paper towel, you fold it up so that it's roughly about the size of the offending area, and then you just don't move it around. It's like a stain on your clothing. You just don't move it around. You just push it, or not, put it down on that section. Don't move it around. Just put it down and let the paper towel absorb the water. The reason why you don't want to move it around is because you'll spread that paint everywhere. So if you still want to use this palette, if I take that and I kind of move it around and try to, wipe up the water, I'm going to drag that black paint everywhere. But if I just press it down and then pull it out, I'll get just the black and the water up. And that looks really good. Maybe a little bit more. Same thing, just kind of push it down, let that paper towel absorb the water, and no damage done. Stunning! All right. That white building, we're going to fix that first. Okay. Just checking the time. Checking the time because these things get away from me. Oh, it happened over here too, but fortunately the paper was in the way of it getting everywhere. So we'll go with that. We don't have to fix that side. But what we do need is some white and black for a gray. So the big news here, and again, I know I hate to talk about current affairs on these open studios because they don't always line up with reality when they air, but this one I know will. So the week that this airs is the second week that I've moved the live stream over to YouTube. So if you've been watching me over here and you don't necessarily follow me on Facebook, we have a live stream that we were doing every Monday night on Facebook. And it was a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. But Facebook has gotten really, really wonky, and then they made the decision to delete all the live streams after 30 days, which is a really bad look because, I have a lot of things going on that, it's nice to be able to go back in and look at some of those. This is just gray, by the way. So that was kind of the final straw. I wanted to move everything over to YouTube anyway, because the live stream and the video processing is better on YouTube. However, I was just kind of holding off because I had a bigger following on Facebook. But between the bogus algorithm that they have, rewarding garbage AI posts, and just the lack of engagement that they seem to allow, where it was not like that before. I was like, well, I gotta, eventually make the move. And so that last thing about the deleting the live streams after 30 days was kind of the final straw. So we moved Monday Night Live over to YouTube. So now it's a it's a YouTube thing. which is great. I wanted it to be a YouTube thing, and now it is. So if you follow me here and you're a member and all that fun stuff, Monday Night Live is now on YouTube. So that kind of completes the story over here. We have the live stream on Monday, the time lapse on Tuesday, and then the open studio on Wednesday night, and that's a little bit of everything for you. So while I was fixing that extra gray, the side of the building, that also helped me correct the wonkiness of that as well. I do still have to fix this side a little bit, but it's just a matter of pushing the top of this thing out a little bit with some white. Pretty easy. This wonkiness might have been actually there. That building might have been slightly skewed because of the angle of the photograph. And this would be something like artistic license. This is something that I would fix, meaning if it was, all these buildings were slightly skewed, kind of counterclockwise a little bit, I straightened them all out. So I'm straightening them out as I paint them. The buildings are parallel to the edge of the painting, and that's going to give this a very like solid, stoic, kind of calm feel. Like if I really wanted to give this a little bit of a blast, I would tilt the horizon, That would give the painting a lot of movement without having any movement in it. But I don't want that for this. Ultimately, when this painting is done, it's going to be this kind of foggy morning over Tokyo, and I want that calmness. So that's one of the reasons why. Keep it all on the level, I guess. Or on the horizontal, so to speak. All right, what do we got? Where do I go from here? Don't forget. Oh, see? All right. What I'm hesitating on is the stuff you can't see over here, back where we're working on these buildings. I did not do the roof line or the roofs on all these buildings. So I didn't finish them. But what I'm doing is, what I was thinking about was just including them in this section up here when I do it. Because I won't forget that. When I'm up here, I'll see that those roofs aren't done. So that's what I think I'm going to do. Instead of bouncing back, we'll finish up this little guy right here. What's going on in front of this black building? We'll do that too. This is exactly what we were just talking about. So this building is done, but the building behind it with the roof wasn't done. I didn't do that. So we'll finish that now. So it'll be a similar situation as what we just talked about. We'll jump back in and finish that. That's very blobby and not cool. Let's put out some more black. So hopefully that style thing, kind of makes sense. It's such a struggle, especially as a emerging artist, I know I thought about it a lot. I always, like I said, I would just look at my stuff and think, where do I even fit in, All these people have these great styles, and it seems like everything's already been done, Like what's new? What's gonna, where do I fit in? How am I gonna make a mark? And trust me, if you're following your passion, you are your own person. You're unique. Even if you like what other people are doing, you can't not have your own take on that. It is what it is. And that personal spin on it is your style. It will self-emerge, Just be patient with it. Give it time, don't, like if it's on that kind of time scale, what am I doing? I'm doing the wrong building. That's fine. If you're on some kind of time scale, like I got to get this done, then you're going to be frustrated. There's just no doubt about it. But hopefully, you're in this for the long haul, and you can kind of let things happen the way they're supposed to happen. There we go. This is the building I wanted. Yeah, there's a little thing go here. That's better. Oh no, there are windows on this side of this little guy right here. I want to make sure I don't get too far off camera. There we go. So this black building, then there's a little tiny building in between here, which I can knock out now. So that'll be good. We'll kind of get all this stuff done, and then the next episode we'll pick up pick back up with this white building and do the windows and stuff. This will get all this done. And this roof. So this roof has a little black square on it. So the other thing I got to start thinking about is what the next open studio is going to be. I've done a razor blade. I've done a well, when I finished this, I would have finished the landscape. I've done a bigger painting with the motorcycle, the Harley. Think about what to do. Maybe I'll put a post up for that too. Do I still have the black in the brush? I do, which is good. We'll get that rolling in there too. What's going on up here? There's another building right in here. White building. Yeah, we'll just drop in the windows for that one too. Lovely. This guy's got some windows on it going on here. Oh, just barely on camera. Okay, good. I said the thought. I'm like, oh no. And I knew I was going to look up and see, like, you know, me working off the camera again. Camera view, let me see if I can trace it here. So from, I'll put a little dot here. Camera view is there. And all the way over to here. Yeah, camera view is an inch across. So what you're looking at is 1 inch by maybe 3/4 of an inch. The whole area, the entire area. So grid out your ruler, draw a little 1 inch by 3/4 inch square. It's roughly what a razor blade is. Razor blade is 1.5 inches by 3/4 of an inch. So yeah, small. Okay, that's good. That's good. Could I do that? Could I cheat and do that first? Yeah, I can. Why? Because why not? I have the black in the airbrush. I'm gonna give a little bit of a shady mix shade here to these buildings between, because I've got the paint in the brush. I'm gonna give a little shading to this building. I don't even have the windows on yet because the windows are black, so it's not gonna matter, but this will kind of get that done now. Did I get that building, that gray building? I don't think I did. I say that gray building like there's only one. There's a ton of gray buildings. Okay. What time is it? 2 minutes. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? Let's do it. Let's put the windows in, and then we can, maybe we'll do all... Oh, I don't know what we'll do next week. I love painting. So much fun. All right. Come on. This brush is not playing well. Oops. Okay. Wasn't fantastic because the brush was getting all wonky. Why am I using this one then? But it's not bad either. Got some white here. Oh yeah, we got this. All right. I'm gonna fix this and then we'll call it. So we'll run a little bit long today. Okay, that's gonna be fun. Yeah, the brush was like hooked because it was like coming apart. So it was like making the beginning of every stroke weird. Now, what I should have done, instead of being lazy, is grab the other brush right away, but I just went for it, and that's how I end up paying for it. So, there we go. That's better. Much better. Let's get the divisions in. There are 3 windows in this guy, plus the edge here. So we'll get the edge in first, which will clean up the edge of that window. Is that not working? Because the paint dried out. There we go. So again, that cleans up that edge really nice. Same thing on this edge. I went right to the edge with the windows because I knew that I'd be running this edge up on the side, and that straightens out, just kind of clips off all the end of the windows. And again, there are 2 mullions between. The paint is kind of drying out. Hair in that too. Ooh, that's much better. You get that flow of paint the way it's supposed to, and it's like, that's nice. But there we go. So we did it. We got the windows in. Yay! All right. All right, so here's what the whole thing looks like right now. It's coming along really well. And again, if you look at this thing, we've got, even though we've just got like the bottom, say, inch of this painting done, that's probably about half of the skyline down below. You know, obviously the river cuts into this thing, and then the buildings up above what we've just done get cut in half. Yeah, there are buildings on the other side of the riverbank, but those are really smaller, and it's going to be more, you know, graphic, I guess. So what we've done so far is huge. We've done a lot. All right, so you know what to do. If you'd like to help us out here, just free ways, just click that like and subscribe. Means a whole lot. It means a whole lot to pushing this out to other people. If you really want to help out, you can share this video too if you know someone who would enjoy it, like hanging out with us on Wednesday. If you'd like to be a more of a financial supporter of the channel, the super thanks and the sticker during the feed are really great too. They help out. Or you could always become a member here, which will help us out on a monthly way, which is gigantic. You get early access to the Tech Tuesday video, and you also get a discount on my site. All right, that's what I got. So for Steve Leahy and Through Lachlan's Eyes, also known as a Tokyo Painting, I will see you guys next week. Thanks a lot.